Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Koki Otaku. Today with us we have a very special guest. She voices Yoriko Kichijouji in Oshi No Ko, Tenka Izumo in Chained Soldier, Yuzuki Aoba in TenPuru, No One Can Live in Loneliness, and let me catch my breath for this one because this one's long. Mylene Rapha Holfort in Trapped in a Dating Sim, The World of Otome Games is tough for mobs. Okay. Mary and the Witch and the Beast and Kiyosumi Shirakawa in Call of the Night. So please give it up for Kelly Greenshield.
Hello.
I can't change you. It's not letting me change you.
Kelly, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think we need to start with one of the latest series, which suffer spoiler because it's one of the latest release. Like Karen mentioned, Oshi No Ko, where you have the character of Yoriko
Kichijouji.
Kichijouji. No, you're great. You're doing great.
I forgot to practice the last name.
No, you're good. I can't say them well either.
I think at this point, Oshi No Ko, everybody knows Oshi No Ko, but if somebody asks you how to describe Oshi No Ko, how would you describe this series, Kelly?
Ooh, okay, let me think. Supernatural, idol, murder, mystery, maybe. That's how I might describe it.
Okay.
Which nobody said that before, the supernatural, but now I'm like, okay, that makes sense because we have like it's not isekai because he just reincarnated.
Yeah.
2 times, we have 3 reincarnations, I understand over here, or 2 reincarnations, so. But Oshi No Ko, one of the series that technically it was a hit. It was a hit as a series, and it was a hit as on the radio, digital radio, because that song was a trend for the past year, and I think it still is in the tops. To understand,
They're still playing it at theme parks, especially over in Japan. They're dancing to it.
Oh, huzzah!
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't hear it on the Olympics. To be honest with you, I was expecting to hear it. But also
that would fun. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Also, we have to acknowledge that Aldo, the singer, she got famous. She has been releasing songs after song. Matter of fact, she released like a new song just for the Olympics. So she haven't slowed down at all.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing that. It's always a good thing to hear.
No, definitely. And your character, Yoriko Kichijouji, how would you describe this character?
So you kind of get introduced to her in season 1, very briefly. She's the creator of a manga called Sweet Today, and it's being kind of adapted into like a live action show. And the main characters play different roles in it, and so it's you get to see like kind of all of the hardships and stuff that goes into like an adaptation of something, right? And some of the disappointment, like with it going off book, like I was trying to think of an example, like in modern day, like the Green Lantern was not a great movie, right? Because it kind of was, it went kind of off script there, and they did whatever they wanted. That's kind of the same thing that happened with her Sweet Today creation. And then the acting was terrible on top of it, except for maybe like 1 or 2 actors that pulled the show together, which is Natalie Rial's character. I think, what was her name? I don't remember right now. Oh, don't sue me. But it's, don't cancel me. I can't remember. But the actress is Natalie Rial. She's wonderful. But yeah, she does a phenomenal job on the show.
Kana Harima.
Yes, that's it. That's the one. It's early morning over here in Dallas.
Yes, that's same here.
It's morning, period, for both of us. So we're all like, oh my gosh, let's get those gears going.
That's exactly right.
Back this, I was taking an energy drink like the same way you put gas on a car. Just go in, try to start in already. But Oshi No Ko is a series that it hit us very hard because not only, like you mentioned, we have the reincarnation. We see people sometimes confused with isekai, which is not isekai, but it went out of the normal because now it hit an area that in the past had been it before the artist area. the idols, but they made it somehow to hit the audience and grab us. So we're seeing like multiple aspects of that industry, which for us mortals, we only believe that just being an idol is be famous and enjoy the glory. But now we're seeing the dark side of that world that is almost never spoke about it.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, I remember like they've done lots of idol shows and stuff before. And I think that what makes this one special is like that supernatural. And you're right. In a way, it's kind of reminiscent of an isekai a little bit because, reincarnated, but you're still in the same world, and so it's like, it's an interesting concept. And it's not, to me, I guess it's not so much, it's not magical in the sense of like fantasy, right? It's more like real grounded kind of stuff. And it's murder, like this, like people are dying. And I think that's probably what made it so real for that first episode is, like this big idol that is the face of the show dies. And so, spoiler for anybody that hasn't watched it.
Oh, that one is a lot. That was 1 year ago.
So, I was surprised that they animated all of it and then they just showed it. It's like, oh wait, what are we watching again?
Exactly.
And in our previous episode with Jack Stansbury, who is the voice of Aquamarine, we had the chance to go over Oshi No Ko. We also mentioned some of the deepest topics. For example, that mini arc about the cyberbullying. That was a very interesting moment because we went into the details over there how we thought people would learn from it, and people in reality they make the exactly mistake that there was spoken in the series. So we're like, guys, it's right there. Why you guys not learning the lesson? Like, you guys are doing exactly what was teach to not do in the series. So kind of interesting social experiment sometimes. Or picture, I'll say.
Yeah, we're talking about with the like in real life with the voice actress involved with that.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And
that is wild.
I appreciate that you say in plural voice actors because we have two scenarios. We have in the English voice actor, and we will also have a situation with the Japanese family of the victim who was referred. So we have two situations that happen here. With the English voice actor was out of control, very, very inappropriate. It was very wrong, honestly.
Yeah.
And but at the end, I think there was a lot of lesson learned here, especially the fact that cyberbullying is not a topic that you say is wrong and people will learn it that easy. Yeah. It's a topic that we need to be attacking more deeply and keep pushing it onto people. Learn how to avoid cyberbullying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like it's sad because it's just like it's you see it. I mean, it's kind of I feel like there's cyberbullying and then there's still like just bullying in real life as well. And you see it not only you see it across the board everywhere. And I'm just thinking about examples off the top of my head, but I think about people who play villains a lot. Just even live action stuff. And like a big one that comes to mind is like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. And people just, reacting like, I love villains because that's what makes a story, right? And the story's not fun without them. And so you love to hate them. It's great. And I think people just take things a little too seriously, or sometimes they don't like a performance that's done. And that's valid. That those feelings are valid, but also I think it's important to always like lead with kindness and growth and stuff. And it's so much easier to be kind and can make the biggest impact on somebody's life versus, the alternative. But yeah.
I love the fact that you mentioned 2 points I wanted to talk about. Because it just fits so well. You mentioned about villains we love to hate, and coincidentally, we present at different conventions over in the DC area. And one of the panels we do present is anime characters we love to hate, for which we have Gabby Braun, and we have interviewed the voice actress, Seidel, Lindsay Seidel, and she is one of those characters where you mentioned Game of Thrones and how we have the villains and people love to hate them, and she actually was one of those voice actresses who got death threats because she's playing Gabby Braun. And the thing is, before she even started playing it, she was just announced. She didn't start. She was just announced. And then out of the blue, like, her social media is blowing up with all these death threats, and she's like, whoa, what the heck is going on? What the heck? She didn't know the character yet. She hadn't seen the Japanese version or anything. And all of a sudden, she's just like flooded. She's like, wait, the heck? And then and this is the point where we always say to people, please, the actors are not the characters.
Yeah.
They are two completely different things. The actors just give life to the characters. If their performance wasn't that good, then you would not hate that character.
That's right. That is exactly right. And there wouldn't be a show without the villain. Like, it would be a bore. No one would. Well, I guess there's some slice of lives out there that there's no villain really, but there's usually an antagonist of some kind, right? And so, yeah, I'm just like, the story wouldn't be good unless you had those villains, and somebody has to do the job. So, like, you know. And also, it's so wild to me because I'm like, we have to have separation. Like you said. Just because we play this character, it doesn't mean that we are that character. It reminds me of another story. I think it was with the Japanese voice actress who was a long time ago. What was the show called? Darling in the Franxx. I believe the Japanese voice actress got, I don't remember, she had blue hair, the character. And I think she was kind of the other love interest in that show in a way, or she really liked the main character, but people just swarmed her with all sorts of death threats and things like that. And I'm just like, it is a show. It is a show, people. And we're allowed to be invested and love our shows. And we're allowed to, hate these characters and hate what they're doing. But, at the end of the day, there's a person behind that character who is nothing like that in real life, usually. And so...
Like, hate the character, don't hate the actor.
That's right.
Moving on to a scene that is one of the latest high-def productions, especially in dub. Talking about Tenka Izumo in Chain Soldier. And I need help in this one because I haven't seen it yet. For those like me that haven't seen this series, how would you describe it?
Beautiful, strong, badass women with powers. Keeping the balance and saving the world from monsters. I guess that would be like the simplest term. And then that's all I can think of. That's like the simplest term I can think of.
But what can I expect from this series? Because when I see the trailers, I see well-drawn character, very deep details, waifus, girls over there, and guys, very handsome. But also see monsters. I'm like, and I'm kind of bloody if I'm not wrong. So I'm like, wait, where are we heading here? Like, I see all these elements.
So this show is a little, I guess it would be in the more of the ecchi genre of shows.
Okay.
Just so you know. And there are monsters. They're called shuki. And so, oh gosh, this is so complicated. So the men in this world, they don't have powers. It's just the women in the world. And they eat these peaches and they gain abilities and stuff like that. And so, and at any second, you can end up in this place called Mato. And it's this world where all these monsters are. And especially if you're a child or you don't have powers, you need to stay in place. And then the Mato Defense Force will come and, get you back home or, vanquish the monsters around you and stuff. And that's how our main character kind of enters the world in episode 1 as he gets put into Mato. And he like the other main character, Kyoka, she's able to her power, she's able to transform him into kind of like a monster that looks like a shuki, but he has his mind, and he's able to fight in the defense force with everybody. And so it's a really fun, sexy, I would say, show. And I just had so much fun with it. I got to use more of my smoky, deeper range for my character, and so it was just so much fun because I don't play that very often anymore. So it was just like really fun to dive back into that and do something fun with it.
I was about to mention that because your character is well known in the community.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I was excited and nervous to see how fans would react to the voice because I was like, I hope they like it and approve of it. And apparently they did. I have, as I hit my mic, I have some fans that sent me like some Reddit stuff, and everyone's just totally in love with it. And that's the dream. That's the thing that you always hope when you go into a job and you do the thing, you put a lot of heart into it, that it translates to everybody else, and everybody else also loves it. And so it was a happy moment. But yeah.
Now I'm very curious. You said that this was going back to doing that smoky, deeper voice.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you say has been like the most challenging character in which you've had to use like that register you really don't tap into that much? And how was it?
You know, I'll kind of answer it in a different way. When I go into, since I have been blessed with more experience now, it's pretty easy to jump into the shoes that I need to jump into that day than when I first started. When I first started, I was not able to do that as well. It was a lot more difficult to jump from shoe to shoe, and I'm trying to think of a character that I was. You know what? I'll give you a character that was a little bit more difficult. I had to think about it. It took me a second. I had to voice match for a character, and I was going to be taking the character over after the voice match. So because they couldn't get a hold of that actress anymore. And so I kind of jumped into it. That character is from Girls in Panzer, Mika. And so she became my character. But you still have to uphold some of that integrity that, because that's a show that's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. So you still have to maintain the integrity of everything that the original actress put in, but also adding, whatever nuance I want to add to it as well. Granted, she wasn't in that movie as much, so I didn't have a lot of time to really do that. But I've never had to voice match before. And then also do all the things I just said. And I was like, that was a challenge. I will say that was a challenge. And it was my also first time working with that director. And so, which is fine. But it always, for me anyway, when you first work with a new director, there's a moment where, you're learning each other's, ins and outs, synchronicities, and, finding that same wavelength. There's that little bit of a figuring each other out moment. So it was just like a lot to handle in like an hour of recording time. And so it was just like trying to figure all that out.
Definitely.
But you did it. That's what matters.
I did my best. I tried.
That's what anybody hoped for, but it was great, honestly. I'm like, wait, why do I keep doing the hard questions? Never mind it.
No, I love it. Make me sweat. It's all good.
Well, moving on to another character that didn't make you sweat because you didn't have to do that voice matching, but maybe on the content of the series. Talking about Yuzuki Aoba, a TenPuru, no one can live on loneliness. And this is when anime is not always for kids and sometimes easier to watch it after dark. Yeah. For those who haven't seen this piece of gold, how would you describe TenPuru?
This is set more in the real world. So, no fantasy elements. Another ecchi show.
Very ecchi.
Especially that OVA episode. But pretty out there. Let me think. How would I describe it? Boy meets girl meets boy, boy meets multiple other girls and works at a temple with them, and chaos and love ensue. That might be how I describe it.
We recorded with the male main voice actor, with Bradley Garrett, who is the voice of Akemusi. He's the guy who joined the temple. And when I asked, when I asked him, he was like, "Oh my god, that's serious." So, how to describe it? Let me see. My character is traumatized because my dad was a player and he left me behind broke, and people hate him because he was a player and technically scammed the poor temple ladies, and now I'm living in that temple, and it is a harem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, I'm biased. I'm like, is it a harem? But yeah, it is.
I mean, it's not the red harem. You're right. It's not the red harem, but we have a lot of girls showing way too much.
Oh yeah.
It's like ecchi versus hentai. It's like drawing that fine line.
Yeah, but there's wholesomeness in it. There's definitely wholesome moments, and I secretly love doing these types of shows because whenever I watch them, it always cracks me up. Like, it also kind of reminds me of, like, this one in particular reminds me of, like, a 90s anime or early 2000s anime. And I'm just, like, so kind of nostalgic for me. And I always laugh at these kind of ecchi shows. They're wild. And so I'm just like, it's funny, or, that's silly. But it's, raunchy, but it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, definitely.
Have you ever had a moment when you were recording these types of shows where you're like, okay, now give me a minute, I gotta laugh it out first, compose, let's record now?
Oh my god, yes, that actually happened for Chain Soldier not long ago. So I went a side story, haha. They're so much fun. I had no idea I was playing Tenka when I went into the studio. I thought I was just doing background stuff, so Walla. And so when I went into the studio, I was like, all right, what are we doing today, Shannon? And he was like, he gave me this huge breakdown of, like, the show. He's so good at, like, giving you the nitty gritty and all the details you need to know. And I was like, awesome, all right, so what are we doing? And he's like, well, you'll be playing this character. And I was like, hold up. I was like, wait. I thought I was doing Walla. And he's just like, no, you're playing this character. And I was like, Shannon, I have done no research on this show. I was like, oh my God. Okay, we're going into this blind, which happens a lot. That is something I will say when you go into voice acting or acting in general, just be prepared to be able to throw on your acting chops and start collaborating, because you never know what you're going to do when you go into the studio sometimes. And so, we built the voice, what we wanted for the voice, and it was so much fun. And I really loved everything we did with it, and it was just such a magical moment. But the other part of the funny story is I hadn't watched anything. And I continued to keep it that way because I was like, it's kind of fun not knowing what I'm going to be doing next. Because there's some shows that we record, like actually the Journey to Another World, Raising Kids, something. I don't remember the entire title of that. That's right. So the dub comes out the same time as the J, and so like we don't know what we're doing anytime we go into the studio. So it's like you always have to be prepared for whatever. We do that a lot. But I wanted to. The show for Chain Soldier was already out, so I could have watched it, but there was just, I don't know, sometimes when you go in and, you just work with and collaborate with everybody, and you just get some really nuanced performances that way sometimes. And so that's what I did. And there was a scene in particular that happens, I don't know, like episode 11 or 10, where there was some licking involved, and I started to do it, but I hadn't watched the scene, and then I just started busting out laughing because I was like, I'm sorry, this is a lot. And it was, and then we went back and we did it and it was fine. But yes, I have definitely cracked up laughing, either because of what's playing on the screen and I had no idea that was about to happen, or sometimes my castmates have already laid down their audio, and what they said in their delivery just cracks me up really hard, and I can't do anything because I'm just like, I'm about to do whatever I'm supposed to do, and then they say something that, like Bradley, like if he ever laid down before me, sometimes his takes would be so funny, I'd be like, okay. He was great.
Okay, so I gotta ask. I gotta ask. For that licking scene, just because I'm always curious about like the types of. Okay, when it's not something that you speak, when it's just a noise and have to go based off of the scene. Is it like? And I always ask just because I watching anything and I need to have subtitles in it. Like I'm a subtitle. Like if life could have subtitles, that would be me. And one of the things I love is that sometimes in the subtitles it's like crying emphatically, crying desperately, things like that. It's just like they give an adjective to the verb. In this case, the licking, is it like licking normally licking, sensually licking, desperately, like what? Do you have a prompt for that, or is this just like, yeah, no, well, let's just see what the scene does and let's just lick?
Let me be devious. How will I say this? With so that it makes you want to go watch it when it comes out. Let me think. I would say multiple licking involved, and a lot of it. Multiple licking involved and a lot of it, and not just one tongue. That is what I will say. Okay.
That's enough.
I did preface that Chain Soldier is a little etchy. So
yeah, I love the fact that it was like, let me give you a teaser. There it is. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. Great scene, hilarious scene. I mean, it is great. You will crack up laughing because you'll be like, "Oh my god, this is happening!" So it's great.
Yeah, let me take a moment after licking so much here. Please, we ask you guys to like this video, not leave. Like this video if possible when we're saying this. But we're leaving the licking behind. So let's talk about your career, Kelly. How do you made it to the voice acting career? Living behind this licking.
Okay, so at the ripe age of 11 years old, I discovered I wanted to be a voice actor. And that's what I wanted. I wanted it so at 11 years old, I was just like, I really want to be a voice actor. And I lived in Houston at the time. And that was back when I don't know if you've heard of it, ADV Films was a thing. And I happened to go, little baby Kelly happened to go to a convention, and I met some voice actors. And back then it was like, you either had a phone number or an email you could reach out to. And I guess there wasn't as many people involved back then that you could kind of go in for, they would have open audition times and you can go in for an open audition. So I'm about to burp. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, no, it's not coming now that I outed myself. Okay, anyways, back to story time. All right.
It's like I went to sneeze. You say it doesn't happen.
That's exactly right. I went to an open audition for ADV Films, and I got to audition for some really cool stuff, but I never made it past the audition phase for a lot of reasons. I wasn't ready. You know, I was 11. Not saying that 11-year-olds can't be ready. They certainly can. But I wasn't. I had a lot of things that I still had to work on. Not only probably acting-wise, but I was a severely anxietal and shy child. Like, so much, just like, I couldn't get out of my own way. Because I was just so nervous and so shy and so worried about doing a good job or what people will think about it. Which I think is probably resonates for a lot of people. especially in our community, I feel. Side story, because I love to tell those. And I think it's funny because of the work I do today. So this will be a funny side story that I think you guys will get a kick out of. One of my auditions as a child that I did for ADV Films, I had to make, so I was doing the audition and I had to make reaction noises, which, I mean, I had done for the audition, but it wasn't like extreme. I had to make running and tripping noises. And, you know, when you isolate that, you know, I was like, I don't know, at this point I was like maybe 12 because I had been doing some, I had grown to age during that time. And I had to make, you know, like little, you know, like you're making these kinds of weird noises, right? And my little pubescent brain was like, this sounds like naughty stuff. And I was like, oh no. And I was just like turning redder and redder in the booth. And I was just like, I can't do this. It was like, it was awful. And so I bombed that audition. It was so bad. And it's hilarious now because I do so much ecchi anime. So I did.
The irony, the twist of life.
I grew, I overcame, and now I do it well.
You came full circle.
I did. I had my full circle moment. So you can achieve greatness, everybody. But so going back to how I started my career story, it was there in that booth when I failed miserably. And I never got out of my head, but I stopped for a few years because, you know, school, growing up, all that stuff. And all my life I did do dance. So I did like point, tap, jazz, ballet. I did that for probably 11 or 12 years. And that helped get me out of my shell a lot because I had solos and stuff, but I didn't have to talk. I just used my body. So it was like it's a different kind of thing. And you practice it a lot, like you do with like how you do in live theater. You know, you practice the play a lot. So you get really used to the motions and then the words and stuff. So it's not as nerve-wracking anymore. And so, which is different from VO, but most of the time anyway. So I did dance, and then I did do some theater camps, and I did choir, and I'm not the best singer, just FYI, but I did it. And it performed in like Disney World and stuff. But I would always shy away from taking, I did like a couple theater camps, but even in those, I would kind of shy away and do more like story creation and directing the play versus our tech stuff and versus doing the actual performance because I was still so shy. Even doing all that stuff, I was still so nerve-wrackingly shy with anxiety. And it wasn't until high school that I finally, my senior year of high school, that I took a theater class because I just had the time, you know, I'd had to fill credits up and stuff. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was, you know, when you're in a room full of people doing all the same thing as you know, sometimes you have to be comfortable with being a fool, you know, right? And so, and you're going to be a fool at some point. Like you're going to do I had already done some bad jobs, but like you're going to get to a bad job. And it's okay because that's the point. And you learn from it and you get better. Or that really dumb moment was the best dumb moment ever. You know, like you just have to grow, but you get more comfortable with those mistakes or happy mistakes because they were great. And then in college, did more theater and I started trying to apply to be a voice actor again because the bug never left me. Like I still always wanted to be a voice actor the entire time. And so back then, Funimation had a email or a phone number. I don't remember because it was some years ago. And you could apply to, you know, do like open auditions and stuff. And so that's kind of how I got on their list and got to do some open auditions. Still flunk those. This is a story of failing a lot, everybody. Like this is definitely that.
I mean, but it's a life lesson though. I can say failing a lot, but it's like you don't grow if you don't fail at some point in your life. So it's like, we've always said that, like, yeah, you're going to learn a lot more from your failures than you do from your successes, because if you're the type of person who goes into something and it's like success after success after success, and you're just like, oh, I got this, I dominated this, I'm a master of this, and then somebody else comes along and let's say they just do a better job, or boom, just something just did not work out for you, and now you're like, oh no, my first failure. It's like, how are you going to react? Are you going to let that stop you, or are you just going to learn from it and understand what went wrong and then just grow from it?
That is exactly right. 1,000% exactly right. Especially if you want to get into anything in the creative field, that in general, like that goes for artists, anything like that. Writers, all that stuff is, there's so much more rejection than there is like winning. And so you have to, be able to accept and grow and move on from that. And that's hard for some people, and so it's kind of like you have to get tougher and tougher skin in some ways. But if you can make it through, and it can be done. As a very anxietal, failing person, it can be done. I never stopped. I never stopped trying. And it was like, oh man, what year was it? I finally got a yes. Like where they're like, yeah, come in. And I think it's with Funimation. It's just for some walla. And I went in and did the thing. I thought it was just for another open audition, but it was like at 9:00 at night. And I was like, that's a weird time. But I was like, whatever, went in. But then I signed a contract and I was like, huh? And then I went in, I did like a 5-minute session, and they're like, all right, we'll send you your money later. And I was like, I guess it worked out. But, it's just like, you never stop. And I even had setbacks after that, because when I started getting more and more calls, and I was living in Houston at the time. Also, during that time, Sentai called me in for my first role over there as well. I got really lucky with them. I sent them a crappy demo that I did on like a old snowball mic, and there was no music. I made it, and I just told a story for like a minute in different voices. It was not a professional demo at all.
So wait. So is that demo before or after the pandemic?
Before.
Okay.
Before the pandemic, before I had a booth, like before I was doing voice acting, I was doing like, me and my friends would play D&D or like play on our little microphone and stuff and kind of make a podcast, but it's not, we didn't really make a podcast. But I had, this mic, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep making demos until they say yes. I'm going to guerrilla warfare them. And it was just like, and gosh, they called me in, and I was like, it was at Sentai. My first show was at Assassin's Pride. And I played a very minor character named Yuffie. And I also did some walla for it. And I was like, this is great. Oh my God, it's happening. And the cool part about that is like my dad was a part of my journey since I was like 11 years old. And then finally in the sweet year of 2019, I got like my first character. And at that time, my dad was really ill, and he was in the process of passing away. But I got to show him, like the video came out, so I got to show him like, look, I did it. And so he got to see like the success of all of my years of failing and being sad about it, but keep doing it and failing, keep doing it and failing. But finally I got there, and he got to see it before he passed away. So that was always a really special moment for me. But during that time, Funimation was calling me a lot to come in for walla, and I couldn't make that drive back then because, my dad was passing away. And so I had to turn down a lot of work. And so I didn't know if I was ever going to work for them ever again. But after the pandemic, I got lucky and got to do some auditions and booked characters, and I guess the rest is history. That's kind of my very long-winded story of how I got into this career. I guess a shorter version would be my dad made me watch Sailor Moon when I was like 7 years old, and that's probably like how I got into anime. Was my dad? He would watch anime with me.
Okay. So that's just like a very special thing you have every time you go into the booth, basically.
Oh
You
yeah.
have that moment. Let me actually skip to the one I do remember watching, because it was a very interesting anime. I'm talking about Kiyosumi Shirakawa from Call of the Night. First of all, how do you describe this anime?
Okay, let's see. Supernatural, vampires, 14-year-old boy, which is controversial in my opinion.
That is very true.
But anime. And I mean, I don't know. I guess like if you like supernatural and vampires, and I mean if you like vampires, I feel like just sells it right there for me. So I'm like, vampires, supernatural, 14-year-old boy. But yeah, that's I guess that's how I describe it.
And then we have Kiyosumi Shirakawa. She comes in for a massage.
Yes, she does. And Natalie Rail's character again. She that's who she thinks she's going to get a massage from. She did not know it was gonna be the 14-year-old boy. So that's that
controversy.
I know. But nothing untoward happens. So that's good. It's just they just have the episode where she comes in. I think that what's cool about her character is she is worked like a dog. She is so stressed, so tired from work. Her boss is awful, and it's just like she wants to go get a massage and just relax and everything will be fine. And she gets there and she ends up having the unexpected encounter with this young man, and they just connect and talk about life, and she remembers what it's like to have aspirations and stuff, and do be happy, and the cool things about the night and nighttime and everything. And then gets thrown out a window. And so, and it's like, okay. And so and she gets to go through this emotional journey and release of emotions, and gets promised to be made a vampire. And so we'll see if that ever happens. But
I am very curious about what season 2, hopefully.
Yeah, I heard it was gonna get a season 2, so we'll see.
Perfect.
I'm not sure how involved she is in the story, but I just love vampire stories so much. I love I'm a big fan of the fantasy genre, so I read a lot of books about fairies and the fae and vampires, which aren't really fairies or fae, but I do love vampires and werewolves. So I love that stuff. So it's always fun when I get to jump into a show that has supernatural elements to it, or fairies and stuff. So love that show.
And to wrap it up, one of the characters very well loved, because this waifu is not a teenager. Finally, we have an adult waifu in the series. Talking about Mylene, Rapha half-full in the series. Trapped in a dating sim, the world of Otome game is tough for mobs. Piece of gold from the other series. For those who haven't seen this piece of gold, which was very under the radar, how would you describe this series?
Let's see. Boy gets sucked into the universe of an Otome game and causes chaos, and oh wait, that's a big spoiler.
No, go for it. It is old. It is
okay.
Over a year release, so yeah, we're going all out with the spoilers here.
Okay. In the novels, he marries multiple women, and has kids with some of them, and so he has a whole life. And yeah, it's just a fun, crazy time. I think the English dub is hilarious, and so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the comedy in this series is out of this world, to be honest. One of those series that you are like, the most common, or which really makes sense, is the option of the main character, and they make it funny. And with his highlight, the AI robot, before AI was a big trend on the internet, who wants to destroy humanity, but because he is now subject to his master, he doesn't want to. He cannot destroy humanity, but he wants to destroy humans. So it's a great comedy. And for in this series, your character, who is the queen, Mylene, our main character had the guts to try to hit on her, even though she's married to the king.
Oh, love it. I love it. I was like, yes. It's just like one of those things that you want a character to do. And then they did it. And you're like, it's wonderful. She is one of the wives that he marries later on in the end. He does marry and have children with her.
We need season 2. We need season 2 of this series.
I hear this like Mushiko Tensei, where he just has multiple wives. And
yes.
Okay.
He does marry 2 other, to my knowledge, I know he marries 2 others as well. So he does have multiple wives.
Right. This is one of those series I can't wait for season 2, because the season 1 was all comedy. All comedy is not much can say that have more deeper feeling. This one, even that we had the kind of bullying against the main character, that he's trying to be like a side character, doesn't want to be the main character in this story. Even that he's like, I know how this goes, let me not get involved. I just want to relax in this second opportunity. However, I'm not willing to get step over myself. So he go all out with the most basic approach.
Oh,
so
yeah,
Kelly,
I love it.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great time. For those who are considering joining the voice acting career, any words of advice?
Yes. I might have mentioned it earlier, but I will mention it again because it's important. Resilience. Resilience in the face of anxiety. Resilience in the face of rejection and failure. Because at the end, you can accomplish getting up there and doing it. Gosh, one of my characters, I love the last line. I used to have it in one of my visual demos because I just thought the line was so beautiful. It was from Chihayafuru Haruka Inokuma. She says this line. It's so good. Hold on. Let me see if I can remember it. It's something... No, it's so good. It was years ago, but it was so good. It was something like, by losing, you can change. By losing, you can become stronger. And it's like a sports card anime kind of thing, right? It's a real card game in Japan. And I just thought it was so beautiful because we talked about that earlier. It's just like, failing makes you grow and can make you stronger. And so I just always loved that line, by losing, you can change. Losing makes you stronger. Like, love that. Love that. So if you fail, it doesn't mean you fail forever. It just means you come back stronger. So that would probably be my never give up, kind of never surrender thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. For those who haven't followed you in social media, which social media can they follow you?
Oh, sure. Let's see. I have I guess the appropriate name for it now is X, but Twitter. I think I'm at Kelly Greenshield, but it's like, it might be hyphenated. It's like Kelly GRNSHLD. Maybe. I'm terrible at the plugs, just so you guys know. But yeah, you find me on the Twitter and on the Instagram under probably a similar handle to the X, if you can discover it. And I do have a website, so if you just type in Kelly Greenshield, it'll probably pop up. And then you can find my socials because they're on the website. And let's see, I do have a TikTok, so you'll find it on there too. I was a cosplayer at one point, so I definitely have some Jareth from the Labyrinth videos that I definitely did during the pandemic, and they are on there. So there you go. There's your homework assignment, everybody.
Well, that's easy, guys. We're gonna have all those links down in the description. Just make it easy on you guys. While you're there, just please, we do always ask for a subscribe, like, and share on this video and every other video, because you know what? They're so fun. We go through this, and they are fun. We do have a very fun time with the voice actors. For us also, you can find us in pretty much every social media. Just put Koki Otaku. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever, TikTok, Instagram, every single social media. So just go follow, like, subscribe, and share. And with that said, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we hope to see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.